Most people think the history of economics begins with Adam Smith, maybe Karl Marx, maybe Aristotle, if they actually paid attention in school. But history hides a quieter truth. Nearly 1,000 years ago, long before capitalism, long before central banks, a Muslim scholar warned that civilizations collapse when money loses its moral compass. And looking at the modern world, inflation, debt, speculation, institutional distrust, he may have understood us better than we understand ourselves. This is the story of Al-Ghazali, a philosopher, a theologian, and perhaps one of the earliest financial critics in history. Welcome to The Financial Historian, where money, power, and history collide, and nothing is ever as simple as it looks. To understand Al-Ghazali, you first have to imagine the world he lived in. The year is around 1100 AD. Europe is fragmented and poor, still recovering from centuries of instability. But the Islamic world? It is booming. Baghdad, Damascus, Cairo. These are not primitive cities. They are global centers of trade, science, philosophy, and finance. Caravans carry silk, silver, spices, and textiles across continents. Scholars debate astronomy, medicine, mathematics, and law. Markets overflow with wealth. The empire is expanding. Commerce is transforming society faster than anyone fully understands. And with wealth comes a dangerous question. What happens when a civilization becomes rich faster than it becomes wise? In this world emerges Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, a scholar unlike almost anyone of his era. Part philosopher, part jurist, part theologian, part critic, a man capable of discussing both the soul of a human being and the soul of an economy in the same breath. By his 30s, Al-Ghazali had already become one of the most respected intellectuals in the Islamic world. But what made him extraordinary was not his status. It was his refusal to blindly accept the system around him. Because despite all the wealth, all the trade, all the expansion, he believed something was deeply wrong. Society was becoming obsessed with money while drifting away from meaning. Economies were growing outwardly while decaying inwardly, and honestly, that sounds uncomfortably modern. Al-Ghazali began asking a question few people dared to ask. What is money actually supposed to be? To him, money was never meant to be worshipped. It was a tool. Nothing more. A facilitator of exchange. He compared money to a mirror. A mirror has no value by itself. Its value comes from what it reflects. Money works the same way. Its power does not come from gold or silver alone. Its power comes from trust, cooperation, exchange. Civilization itself, and once society forgets that, money stops serving people. People begin serving money. From this idea came one of his most important warnings. Hoarded money is dead money. Wealth locked away in vaults, hidden in estates, buried in private fortunes, weakens society. Because economies survive through circulation, through labor, through trade, through movement. When wealth stops circulating, inequality rises, markets distort, opportunity disappears. Social trust begins to decay. Al-Ghazali described hoarded wealth as freezing the bloodstream of society, and nearly 1,000 years later, modern economies still struggle with the exact same problem. But he didn't stop there. Al-Ghazali also warned about speculation. He despised artificial shortages, price manipulation, and profiting from crisis. To him, speculation without contribution was not intelligence. It was corruption, and corruption spreads, slowly at first, then everywhere. Once people realize dishonesty is rewarded, trust begins collapsing across the entire system. Merchants cheat customers. Institutions fail the public. Leaders manipulate markets. Everyone begins rationalizing exploitation because everyone else is doing the same, and eventually, society enters a dangerous cycle where greed becomes normal. Al-Ghazali believed economies collapse long before the numbers collapse. They collapse morally first. What makes his ideas remarkable is that he was not anti-business. He was not anti-profit. He believed trade was natural and necessary. He believed wealth could be meaningful. His real target was dishonesty, false weights, manipulated information, concealed defects, exploitation disguised as intelligence. Because markets only function when people trust each other, and once trust disappears, the economy collapses right behind it. In many ways, Al-Ghazali was describing concepts modern economists would later rename as moral hazard. information asymmetry, and transaction costs. Except he understood them centuries earlier. Without the jargon, he also believed labor itself had dignity. Wealth earned through honest effort strengthened society. Wealth gained through manipulation weakened it. Because societies grow strong when people contribute more than they extract. But Al-Ghazali's warnings were not limited to individuals. He also warned about governments. Medieval rulers often diluted gold and silver coins to stretch state finances. In modern terms, inflation through currency debasement. Al-Ghazali called it theft. Because when rulers manipulate money, they slowly destroy public trust. The poor suffer first. Markets become unstable. Confidence begins disappearing from the system itself. And history proved him right. From ancient empires to Weimar Germany, from Zimbabwe to Venezuela, civilizations repeatedly discovered the same truth. Currency only works as long as people believe in it. The moment trust disappears, money becomes paper, metal, or numbers on a screen. Nothing more, but perhaps Al-Ghazali's deepest insight had nothing to do with coins or trade at all. It was human nature. People hoard out of fear, speculate out of greed, cheat when they think they can escape consequences, manipulate systems because money is easy to manipulate. And once exploitation becomes normal, collapse is already underway, because economies are not machines. They are moral ecosystems built on incentives, trust, shared belief, human behavior, and suddenly, the modern world starts looking very familiar: runaway debt, housing bubbles, financial speculation, institutional distrust, widening inequality, a global economy moving faster than meaning itself. Nearly every warning Al-Ghazali made still exists today. The technology changed. Human behavior didn't. What strikes modern readers is how timeless his observations feel. He understood something many economists still struggle to admit. Financial systems are not purely mathematical, they are psychological, moral, human. And when morality disappears from money, collapse eventually follows. Maybe not immediately, maybe not dramatically, but inevitably. Because civilizations do not die when they run out of wealth. They die when they run out of trust. And history has been trying to warn us about that for 1,000 years. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to The Financial Historian, because history never truly repeats, but the people inside it always do.